Hi, my name is Ashley Stone, and I am reading Job 36 through 38. Chapter 36. Then Elihu continued and said, "Wait for me a little, and I will show you that there is yet more to be said in God's behalf. I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and I will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my words are not false. One who is perfect in knowledge is with you. Behold, God is mighty, but does not despise any. He is mighty in strength of understanding. He does not keep the wicked alive, but gives justice to the afflicted. He does not withdraw his eyes from the righteousness, but with kings on the throne. He has seated them forever, and they are exalted. And if they are bound in fetters, and are caught in the cords of affliction, then he declares to them their work, and their transgressions, that they have magnified themselves. He opens their ear to instruction, and commands that they return from evil. If they hear and serve him, they will end their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. But if they do not hear, they shall perish by the sword, and they will die without knowledge. But the godless in heart lay up anger. They do not cry for help when he binds them. They die in youth, and their life perishes among the cult prostitutes. He delivers the afflicted in their affliction, and he opens their ear in time of oppression. Then indeed he enticed you from the mouth of distress. Instead of it, a broad place with no constraint, and that which was set on your table and was full of fatness. But you were full of judgment on the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold of you. Beware the wrath that does not entice you to scoffing, and do not let the greatness of the ransom turn you aside. Will your riches keep you from distress, or all the forces of your strength? Do not long for the night when people vanish in their place. Be careful, do not turn to evil, for you have preferred this to affliction. Behold, God is exalted in his power, which is a teacher like him. Who has appointed him his way, and who he said, you have done wrong? Remember that you should exalt his work, of which men have sung. All men have seen it. Man beholds from afar. Behold, God is exalted, and we do not know him. The number of his years is unsearchable, for he draws up the drops of water. They distill the rain from the mist, which the clouds pour down. They drip upon man abundantly. Can anyone understand the spreading of the clouds, the thundering of his pavilion? Behold, he spreads his lightning above him, and he covers the depths of the sea. For by these he judges peoples. He gives food in abundance. He covers his hands with the lightning, and commands it to strike the mark. Its noise declares his presence, the cattle also concerning what is coming up. Chapter 37. At this also my heart trembles, and leaps from its place. Listen closely to the thunder of his voice, and the rumbling that goes out from his mouth. Under the whole heaven he lets it loose, and his lightning to the ends of the earth. After it a voice roars. He thunders with his majestic voice, and he does not restrain the lightnings when his voice is heard. God thunders with his voice wondrously, doing great things which we cannot comprehend. For to the snow he says, fall on the earth, and to the downpour in the rain, be strong. He seals the hand of every man, that all men may know his work. Then the beast goes into its lair, and remains in its den. Out of the south comes the storm, and out of the north the cold. From the breath of God ice is made, and the expanse of the waters is frozen. Also with moisture he loads the thick cloud. He disperses the cloud of his lightning. It changes direction, turning around his guidance, that it may do whatever he commands it, on the face of the inhabited earth, whether for correction or his world, or for love kindness, he causes it to happen. Listen to this, O Job. Stand and consider the wonders of God. Do you know how God establishes them and makes the lightning of his cloud to shine? Do you know about the layers of the thick clouds, the wonders of one perfect in knowledge? You whose garments are hot, when the land is still because of the south wind? Can you, with him, spread out the skies, strong as the molten mirror? Teach us what we shall say to him. We cannot arrange our case because of darkness. Shall it be told him that I would speak? Or should a man say that he would be swallowed up? Now, men do not see the light which is bright in the skies, but the wind has passed and cleared them. Out of the north comes golden splendor. Around God is awesome majesty. The Almighty, we cannot find him. He is exalted in power, and he will not do violence, to justice and abundant righteousness. Therefore men fear him. He does not regard any who are wise of heart. Chapter 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Now gird up your loins like a man, and I will ask you, and you instruct me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding, who sets its measurements, since you know? Or who stretched the line on it? On what were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who enclosed the sea with doors? When bursting forth, it went out from the womb. When I made a cloud its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling band, and I placed boundaries on it, and set a bolt and doors, and I said, Thus far you shall come, but no farther, and here shall your proud waves stop? Have you ever in your life commanded the morning, and caused the dawn to know its place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, and the wicked be shaken out of it? It is changed like clay under the seal, and they stand forth like a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, and the uplifted arm is broken. Have you entered into the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Or have you seen the gates of deep darkness? Have you understood the expanse of the earth? Tell me, if you know all of this. Where is the way of the dwelling of light, and darkness where it is its place? That you may take it to its territory, and that you may discern the paths to its home. You know, for you were born then, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or have you seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for the time of distress, for the day of war and battle? Where is the way that the light is divided, or the east wind scattered on the earth? Who has cleft a channel for the flood, or a way of the thunderbolt, to bring rain on a land without people, on a desert without a man in it, to satisfy the waste and desolate land, and to make the seeds of grass to sprout? Has the rain a father, or has he begotten the drops of dew? From whose womb has come the ice, and the frost of heaven, who has given it birth? Water becomes hard like stone, and the surface of the deep is imprisoned. Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades, or loose the cords of Orion? Can you lead forth a constellation in its season, and guide the bear with her satellites? Do you know the ordinance of the heavens, or fix their rule over earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds, so that an abundance of water will cover you? Can you send forth lightning, that they may go and say to you, Here we are? Who has put wisdom in the innermost being, or given understanding to the mind? Who can count the clouds by wisdom, or tip the water jars of the heavens, when the dust hardens into a mass and the clods stick together? Can you hunt the prey for the lion, or satisfy the appetite of the young lions? When they crouch in their dens and lie in wait in their lair? Who prepares for the raven its nourishment, when its young cry to God and wander about without food? Thank you so much. We're reading Job 36 through 38. Thank you so much for reading Job 36 through 38. I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day. And thank you again for sharing this with me.
Hello, friend, and welcome to Fear into Faith Global Bible Revival, where we're on a mission to get 1 million people to read the Word of God cover to cover in a year. I'm your host, Summer Day, and with me in the studio today is Ashley Stone, the fabulous, the stunning in pink Ashley Stone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This is literally a blessing to be here and to know you. So
Stop some more.
yeah.
I'm not even going to start with all my prepared questions. I want to know, how is this a blessing to you?
Well, I'm on that walk, that journey currently, I feel like. And so there's an aspect where I always say, like, I'm a baby Christian. This is new to me. And at the same time, God is surrounding me with just so many incredible women and people in my life. And honestly, I prayed out for that. And very shortly after, I met Lindy and I met you. And so really, he is truly surrounding me by women that know him. And so as I'm thirsty for the word, I mean, hello, I'm thirsty for the word. I'm wanting to be surrounded by women that know the word. And here are you reading the Bible in a year. So I'm just like, okay, God, I see what you're doing here. So
He's calling you deeper. He's answering your prayers.
Always.
I love it. Okay, tell everybody a little bit about you. Where are you originally from?
Oh, man. So I'm originally from Texas, but I left very young, moved up north, and not really necessarily by choice. It was kind of a rough start with our family. And so my mom was a single mom. It was me and my brother. And we lived in my grandparents' attic in Connecticut. And so really started with nothing. And so from there, I just grew up not really with church, not with God. We didn't really know. We always believed in something bigger, but it kind of started and ended there. It was really instilled in me to just be a strong little girl and to just, not really have emotions, and we're just going to like kind of forward. You got to be tough. And, so yeah, I grew up in Connecticut in kind of rough beginnings and had really rough experiences in life, that unfortunately exposed me to trauma and, some just tough things as a teenager. And so I really felt like
you're back in Texas now.
I'm back in Texas now, completely God sent.
And what do you do in Texas?
In Texas, what do I do in Texas now?
Yes.
Girl,
Are you a kindergarten teacher?
No, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so serial entrepreneur. I've been a little bit in survival mode after COVID, but God completely directed me down here. And so from one extent, I started beauty trucks when I got here, pink beauty trucks.
What's a beauty truck?
So I converted box trucks into luxury salons and just drove around Texas and was like, someone please dial this number on the side of my truck. I'm here. And God directed me to these trucks and told me to do this. And I was just like completely walking in faith. And so it was very much one of those things, I think, that actually grew my relationship with God, driving around this box truck and laughing and having conversations. And so me and God just became real good friends on that truck and really just opened up my heart and my relationship to him. So
amazing. And you just like had this idea, when COVID hit, businesses are closing, you're like, I'm going to do a beauty salon truck.
Yeah.
Had you heard of somebody doing that, or you just like
exactly happen as smooth as that? But
that's great. Well, that's a beautiful version of that.
Yeah, if only it was that simple. But actually, I heard from God actually right before COVID hit. It was my first experiencing God. So going back to just that trauma, I was experiencing just PTSD and really struggling, trying to heal, going through all these like, I'm doing everything. What more can I do? And just had a moment.
Right before 2020.
This was right before 2020, about probably 3 months before. And so I was in one of those very dark places and just at the end of kind of where I was and just got on the floor crying in the bathroom and just called out. And I heard him. And there was just no, I'm going to get emotional because there was just no denying it. I knew immediately. And it was wild to me because it was just like, what more can I do? And he was like, I need you sober-minded. And I literally just I'm going to get emotional because my daughter's also here listening, but he just spoke so clearly. And I knew I had to listen. So he had very direct orders and steps for me to take. And it was being sober-minded so I can hear him more. Wow. And I fasted. I did a Daniel fast for 21 days.
Wow.
I started going to my husband's church. And he told me to prepare. I was going to be moving. I needed to prepare financially. It was a time in my life that was seasonal for my company. And my company...
Were you living in Texas?
I was in Connecticut.
In Connecticut?
Yeah.
This is part of your crazy story of how you...
That's the part of the crazy story.
In Texas?
Yes. So I had a very clear direction. I started taking it. And he told me to prepare financially and that there was going to be a big shift. And I was like, okay, well, I was planning on buying a house in the spring. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy this house. So I know I'm going to be moving. And then the world shut down.
In Connecticut?
Connecticut. Yeah. Texas was not on the radar, girl, at all. Was not on the radar. And Texas had this big hole in my heart that I just wasn't ready to face. I really neglected Texas for a really long time. I had family here. My father's here. And so Texas was never on the radar to ever go back to. And really, he called me to it after the pandemic happened, and my business definitely was closed down. Financially, we were able to weather the storm because I was prepared. And I started to get into that mode again of what do I do? I'm waiting to hear from you. Where are you? I need to know.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear from him right away. And then when I did, he said I needed to go to Texas. And I was like, what? I'm never going to Texas. And so really how it happened was my mom actually called me. It was that morning I heard Texas. My mom called me that afternoon, and she was in Florida, and she was like, hey, so I'm thinking of going to visit my brother in Texas. You need a break. You need to get out of the Northeast. Just take a break. Get on a flight. Meet me in Texas.
What? You're like, what is the Lord doing?
Yeah. So I was just like, okay. And so I just connected dots, and immediately I was like, done. I'm going to Texas. So this was on Sunday. My flights were booked on Thursday, and myself and my 2 kids got on a plane. There was 6 of us on the plane during COVID. It was May 2020. And we went to Texas. And so we visited. I regrouped. I went back up to Connecticut. And I mean, between protesting and trying to get my business open, I was just like, this is not the place for me. God, what am I going to do? And he said, you're moving to Texas. So I bought a house through the internet like any normal person.
Oh, any normal person.
Yeah.
Had a house through the internet, sight unseen.
Sight unseen. They approved my offer. Didn't know that they close in Texas a little faster than they do things in the Northeast. So I was like, okay, we're closing when? And so it was July 2020. Within 3 weeks, we sold everything, got in the car, and came to Texas.
You know, that's crazy because I was selling everything because I left August 1st, 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. He was, I heard the story, and I was just like, he's just been calling people to Texas.
Yeah. So did he call you specifically to this area of Texas?
So my uncle this is the area that I visited. Yeah. So I was familiar with the area. I had family close by. So I just knew that it was a good place. It was a family-oriented place. So I knew my kids would be settled. So that was important for me. But yeah, it was mostly because my family was here, and it was just where I felt like, all right, that's where we're going to go.
All right, we're just going to hustle.
Jump right in. And it was probably a few weeks later that my husband didn't come right away.
Okay, I'm going to pause you really quick.
Okay.
Your husband didn't come right away.
No.
Oh, that's a great cliffhanger. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Science fiction fans, how does a teenage boy from Ohio become king of the Milky Way? Find out in the new action-packed sci-fi book and audiobook series, Richard, by author Michael W. Hickman. With famous author DNA in his blood, Hickman weaves engaging and thrilling sci-fi stories in Richard, Distant Sun, Richard, an unlikely love story, and Richard, the Dragon's Curse. Search those book titles now on Audible and Amazon.
Did you know that most skincare products today have low-quality ingredients that can end up doing more harm than good? Sofiel's pure, natural ingredients hydrate, exfoliate, and nourish your skin. Most people see results in one application. Our patented skincare formula contains only the highest quality, natural, plant-based ingredients, so pure you can eat them.
Your skin deserves the best.
Go to shopsofiel.com and use code SOUL20 to save 20%. Get started today.
We're back, my friend, with Ashley Stone, and we were right at the cliffhanger because the Lord told you, go visit Texas. Then he said, go move to Texas. You sell everything within 3 weeks. Yeah. And then right before the break, you're like, oh, and my husband didn't come right away.
No.
I was wondering, what did hubby think about this whole Texas
Yeah,
thing?
he wasn't exactly. He didn't get that same calling from the Lord.
Yeah.
So he was still working that out. So he actually worked in healthcare. He worked in the emergency room. So during a pandemic, as you can imagine, he was quite busy. So he had the stable job. So he had the health insurance and all those things. So he was like, you feel called to Texas. I'm not ready to go. So I'm going to support you on this and get you there with the kids. He drove us down and pretty much dropped us off and then flew back to Connecticut. And he had the stable job, so he did that for probably about 4 months. And we've been together for 22 years. And so for us, we've never been apart that long. So he would come and fly back every 3 weeks and visit. And it was on his first visit back, 3 weeks into living in Texas. He was like, what are you going to do? And I was just like, I don't know. And he mentioned going on the road. And also just a wild kind of situation when he mentioned it. I was like, well, it's got to be really nice, got to be really cool. And I was like, there's this really cool truck that I pinned on my Pinterest board like 3 years ago. Let me go see if I can find it. And so I went to my Pinterest board, I clicked on it, and it brought me to a link. And it was a marketing company out of Dallas, Texas.
Stop.
Yes. And so I was like, oh my gosh, it's 30 minutes away. Let me call them. So I literally, in that moment, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, called them. And they were like, yeah, we're a marketing company. We don't sell those trucks. We do those for big like brands and things like that. But if you want to come take a look, we might sell you one because COVID affected their business too.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, done. Within 45 minutes, we were there, walked through it. And I was just like, there's no way. This is crazy. It was just like a wild idea. And then they said, yes, they would sell it to me. And I was like, okay, let me think about it. And I prayed on it. And it was just like he was giving me every sign. Like, this is it. This is where you got to go. This is what you got to do. And so we, on a wing and a prayer, because we cashed out my husband's 401k. I mean, we totally just risked everything, the last of what we had, and put it into this pink truck.
This pink truck, this traveling pink truck. And then what happens?
So I just got on the road and just, again, prayed that people would call. People did. And it had wild success. And truly through that whole process, I mean, it really challenged me. I would do these videos called #TruckChronicles, and I would share just this wild stuff between fighting with the hose, filling the water tank, or breaking down and not knowing what was wrong, and like power outages on it. So all these different things. But it tested my faith in a completely different way, because I was just like, I am here, and and I just see how he's working. And the people that I was meeting on this truck in a time like the world is still trying to come back, you know? And the people, I always believe when you're a hairstylist, you're kind of like a therapist.
Oh, yes.
With your clients. And it had been a while since I actually had done hair, because I mostly was running my businesses before. But it just gave me this like reality of just like being able to connect with people. And it just became about that for me. It wasn't about money. I was like, okay, God, lead me to that next person. Who else do I need to meet?
Yeah. Where were you driving around?
Through DFW.
Just driving around the Dallas area and just...
They would just call, and then I'd go, and then and it was such a range. I kind of laughed a lot, because I was like, this is such a social experiment, because, you have people from different, and at that time, I mean, people were on all different sides of the fence and their beliefs. And it was just like, mask, no mask. Like, it was just all these different things. Everyone was just roaring about everything.
Yeah.
And so here I am, and I'm hearing really the inner behind the scenes of what that looked like for people truly, and all these different stories. And it was some people that lived here and some people that were brand new, just like me. And so you just realize like all of this, like it just was becoming this melting pot. So I got to meet so many different people.
And were your kids at school? So you were doing it when the kids were at school? Did they come with you?
Yeah, so they were at school, so they were back at school, and that was kind of one of the factors. Like Texas had schools that were open, so they wanted to go back to school. So while they were at school, I was on the truck, and I would get home by the time they got home from school, and so I worked during the week, during the day, and it was a great balance for us to get us at least on our feet when we first started here.
Wow. And so what happened to the pink truck?
Oh, the pink truck. So I feel like I have testimony on testimony on testimony because God always has a plan. So I did that for quite a while, for about 2 years. And I eventually, as I got off the truck, I was stopping at the house to go to the bathroom. No bathroom on the truck. So I stopped by the house. And as I was leaving the bathroom, I literally heard it to download this app. It was a realtor app that I used to always look at property. And I dreamed of owning my own building one day and getting off these trucks. And so just like clear as day, it was like, download this app. And so I downloaded it, and immediately what popped up was this building. And I was like, I just felt it. This building is meant for me. Wow. But I was just like, God, why are you showing me this building? I have no business buying a building right now. I have these trucks. Like,
How many trucks did you
I had 2 at that point.
How did you have 2? Somebody else drove?
Yeah, she met her at a gas station. She was praying for a mobile salon opportunity. Weird prayer.
You meet a lady at a gas station who's like, how did you, like,
literally
can I buy you gum? Like,
literally was praying. I was putting gas in my truck, and she's like, this is going to be really weird, but this is my dream right here. And I was just like, okay. And I was in between appointments. So I was just like, yeah, you want to see it? So I showed it to her, and then she told me, she's like, I have been praying to the Lord. She completely like shared her heart with me. And I was like, I am burnt out. I was so booked. And I was just like, you can do this with me. And so I trained her and
bought another truck.
Yeah. So just, and
come on, duplicated yourself.
Yeah.
Girl at a gas station. God,
yeah.
So much fun.
Girl in a gas station. And my indicator was, when soon as she was like, I prayed for, something like this, and here you go driving by a stoplight. She followed me to the gas station.
She's like, this is my dream.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So do you still have the trucks?
No, actually. Got appointed.
We were at building.
We were at the building. So on my drive to the building, I called my realtor and I was like, hey, we got to go see this building. She's like, Ashley, you got to get pre-approved. And I was like, I know, I'm probably not going to get approved, but I'm just going to go look at it. Yeah. So as soon as I started driving to go see the house, I was literally in that moment, negative self-talk. I'm like, what are you doing? You have no business doing this. You have these trucks. Like, what are you going to get a building for? And so immediately I felt a flush over my body. I started crying, like the ugly cry, snotty, but like joyful. Like I just felt so much peace. And I'm a very visual person. Yeah. And so I immediately saw the full vision God had for me. Wow. With this building. I heard the word Women's Hub and Incubator. And I was like, this building is going to be mine. And he said, I'm going to put all these pieces back together for you, but I'm going to do it in a different way.
Wow.
And so that building, I got denied 3 times for my loan for that building. And I ended up figuring it all out, about to close on it, get approved right at like the 10th hour. Like, wow. Yeah. So he and I had faith, and I was like, he is just testing me. It's okay. Cause I'm like, God, you told me I was going to have this. Why am I getting declined?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep trying. And so I just had faith. I believed it that building was going to be mine, and it was. So.
And did you sell the truck?
I did.
Still have the truck?
Okay.
Or what happened to that other girl?
I feel like I'm going to be like, okay. And then God did. So because God did this next. So I had the trucks. I had the building. We finished the building. Didn't know what I was going to do with it.
And that's a great place to pause.
Okay, perfect.
So we're going to take a commercial break. Yeah. We'll be right back. We'll find out what happened with the trucks in the building.
Wow.
You can check out the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. And if this show has blessed you, you can help us bless others by partnering with us for as little as $20 a month and help us to expand the reach of this show. We'd also like to invite you to join our Kingdom Discipleship Program, where you have an opportunity to get on weekly Bible Zoom calls with us and people around the world to deep dive into His Word. And you can check all that out at BibleRevival.tv. I'll see you next time, my friend.
Join people from all over the globe as we read the Bible on Global Bible Revival, right here on Zonder TV.